All righty. Aloha, everyone. Woohoo! Back for season 15. Did you miss me? Happy Pride Month, everyone. And a shout out to all of our LGBTQIA caregivers. You matter. We see you, and it's your time to shine. And so, welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. I'm your host, Savvy, and the founder of Gimme a Break, a nonprofit organization that's caring for caregivers, all caregivers. I bet you didn't know you were a caregiver sometimes. Did you know that parents are caregivers? Did you know that a boss can be a caregiver? If you take care of a pet or a plant, you're a caregiver. So you'd be surprised. So this is to all caregivers out there, and we're here for you. We're here to bring back the joy of caregiving, and each week we help caregivers to survive. And I'll tell you why you have to survive. And I'm going to start this new season out by throwing these figures at you. But 50% of all caregivers will pass before the one they're caring for. Not a good statistic. Another one, 66% are dealing with some sort of a mental issue. And that's a negative mental issue. So we're all in this and we're all trying to survive and we're all trying to come out of it whole. So that's what we're here for. We're here to connect you with community and connect you to resources as well. And Gimme a Break is here for you. We're here to support you. You can go to gab808.org or drop us a snail mail to email, which is info@gab808.org. I know it's hard. I know because I'm a caregiver too. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be angry and frustrated and exhausted and lose your identity. It's a tough thing. That's why we do our support sessions. Our support sessions are here for you. And here we go. Let's see if I got the one I like. No, you guys know I don't like this one, right? That's the one I like. Okay. So I got to get the view right. You got to give me a break now. It's been 8 weeks since we've been live. So here we are back again. I hope you enjoyed the rebroadcast, by the way. Got a chance to see some of the ones from season 14. Season 15 is going to be exciting. And we've got a lot of wonderful guests that are going to help you. So our support sessions are every week at 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Now, I know that's hard for some of you in the continental U.S., and I applaud you and send you great big hugs for those of you that tune in, especially from the East Coast. Thank you. I know you can't always make it, but know that you are appreciated. And I know that the information is there for you to help you. So it's a good thing. You can make this time to do that. Every caregiver needs to be on this session. It is your positive safe space. This is where you can connect with community and learn. Right now, we just started a series about your care receiving plan. Do you have one? Do you know what it is? Tune in and find out. Okay. So you could just dial in on Zoom, type in 808-754-3787. That's our phone number, and it's that easy. And if you can't remember that, go to gab808.org, and you can log in right from our website. The important thing is be there. It's there for you, and caregivers, we're going to make sure that you make it through each day. And weekly, you have a community just for you. All right. The Caring Caregiver Show is also sponsored by Givers Guides, and Givers Guides is written exclusively for caregivers by caregivers. In fact, this month, we're sending out a shout to all the guys out there. It is Men's Health Month. And so with Men's Health Month, our magazine is dedicated to all the guys out there with great articles, especially caregiver dads. And here's Darren. As you can see, Darren is a double amputee, and yet he still continues to not only care for his wife, who, by the way, also took care of him through what he went through, was one of our caregivers of the year. And the two of them together are just a powerhouse of positivity and strength. And so he's on our cover, and you can read about their story as well. And a couple of things you'll see in the magazine right there. Like I said, it's all designed for men. So not only can you know that you are better than average, but there's a great articles in there for your health, for your spiritual health, for your physical health, how to get yourself eating better and nutritionally. There's some really, really great articles. I really want to applaud all of our writers because they really put a lot of thought into what they do, and they write these articles for you month after month after month. And of course, you can be part of that simply by subscribing 1 year at about $2 a month. Giversguides.com. Go there and know that all the proceeds go to support Give Me a Break and what we do. That's it. I got to do that. And I want to just welcome my amazing co-host today, Lonnie Almanza, the COO of Give Me a Break and the editor of Giver's Guides, and also the founder and owner of Alakai Associates. You know that she is a published writer with her book, Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star. And her next book is on the way. We're going to talk about that. Aloha, my sister from another mister. You guys welcome Lonnie Almanza.
Thank you. It's so great to be back. Our 13th season? Is that what you said?
Is 15. This is 15. Season 15.
My gosh.
5. Wow. I know.
Wow. Yeah, we've been doing this a while, and I love coming on for the first session every season, welcoming new people to what we have to offer and supporting caregivers. So we just have so much to offer that people don't know about. So I encourage everybody who's watching this, either live or on a replay, to reach out to us and then reach out to your community and share what Give Me a Break has to offer.
Yeah, because we know, right? Caregivers are surrounded with so much negativity in so many ways. Wouldn't you agree, Lonnie?
Yeah, and sometimes it just can get overwhelming in a day. And so we always talk about how we're here to give you those moments to find your way back to calm out of chaos.
Yeah. It's a wonder why we all isolate and get so depressed. And that 66% of mental illness, I mean, that's just, of course we're depressed, right? We really need something. We need some kind of positivity, right? Well, we're going to have that this season. Thanks to our motivational moment, we're going to begin each show with Andrew Pierce, who's the founder of I Bounce Up. I want to welcome you right now, and let me bring him on. Here we go. There we are. I got it. Hi, Andrew. Welcome.
Hey, happy to be here.
And so, Andrew, Andy, we're going to welcome you, and you are the founder of I Bounce Up. So, what is that? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit that my wife and I created to help bring mental resiliency skills to underserved populations in Hawaii, mostly resource caregivers, as well as people in addiction and recovery, and a lot of the underserved populations in Hawaii. So we try and give them strategies to help them. So it's been a real joy being able to give back. So.
That's awesome.
And you have a caregiving story too, right? You've been yourself a caregiver, right?
Yeah. So, one of the things that we do is we go to these youth rehab centers. And I remember there was this one boy that we'd been working with, and he was finally graduating from this program. And he turned to us, and I'll never forget it. And he says, "You know what? Thank you." Right as he had walked away already, and he turns around and says, "You guys are good people. Thank you. This really helped." And I remember it was in that moment where I was like, "This is why we do it."
Yeah.
Right. It was such a special moment, and it's something I'll never forget. He was a 12-year-old boy, and had a lot of difficult challenges that he had to go through, and we were able to give him some hope. So it was good.
And that's such a pivotal year, right? 12 is such a pivotal year. It's just before teen. And and they don't communicate well either. The fact that he communicated, but also you changed the trajectory of his whole life.
Yeah.
And that's
the
a
goal.
great thing. Yeah. And that's a great thing. So what what Andy's going to be doing for us the beginning of every show is he's going to be doing this motivational moment for all of you caregivers. And just like we've done in the past, in the beginning of each show, we have something for you, some mindful moment. This is for season 15. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Andy, and please, everyone, enjoy.
Thank you. All right. So I teach mental resiliency skills. And one of the skills that we teach will feel very familiar because it comes from the research from CBT. And it's something that I like to call ETO, event thought outcome. Now, when we understand this principle of event thought outcome, it helps us understand that we have a lot more control over the way that we feel and the way that we act. So the E stands for event, and an event are things that happen throughout your day. The first event that you experienced today or this morning was either your alarm clock went off or something woke you up. Another event that you may have experienced was you started eating breakfast. Maybe another event was you had to drive somewhere. Another event, you start caregiving for somebody that you caregive. Maybe they say something nice. That's an event. Maybe they say something not so nice. That's an event. So these events happen every day, all day, throughout your day. So if you really break down life, it's really broken into a series of events that happen over and over and over and over again. So they're different events throughout your day. Some are good, some are bad, and really what makes them good or makes them bad is really dependent on the way you think about those things. So, and I want to use an example of what I mean by this. Have you ever been in traffic and you thought to yourself, "Oh man, these people, they don't know how to drive. This is the worst. Why am I in this situation?" Right? And from that thought, it leads to the emotion of feeling frustrated and upset. And your reaction is you go 10 and 2 and it's time to drive fast, right? But very frustrated. So when you think about it, though, the really profound component to this is it the event that drives the emotions and reactions, or is it the way that we think? So the T stands for our thoughts. And our thoughts are simply your interpretation of the event and what you thought in the heat of that moment. So the really powerful part is that the events are not the things that drive the way that we feel and the way that we act. It's the way we think about those events. So that O stands for outcome. And under outcome, we have our emotions and we have our reactions. So going back to the traffic example, so the activating event is traffic. The thought is, oh, these people don't know how to drive. And the emotion, again, is you go 10 and 2, or I guess that's the reaction. And the emotion is you feel very frustrated. Now, I have another question for you. How many of you have had the same event of getting stuck in traffic, and you think to yourself, you know what? I should have left earlier, but I'm in this situation. It's all good. I'm just going to turn my music up or keep my podcast going, whatever you're doing in the car. And your emotions are feeling very calm and you're feeling very content. And your reaction is you just continue to drive and pay attention because you are in traffic, but you're not frustrated at all. So, what's the difference? The difference is the way that we think is the number one contributor to the way that we feel and the way that we act. So, when it comes to really understanding how our brain works, understanding that our thoughts have a huge influence on the way that we feel. In fact, I would argue it's the thing that determines how we feel in a given situation. So, what I like to tell people is if you don't like the way that you're feeling, go back to your thoughts. Now, there's another layer that we're going to get into even more. And that is we're going to peel the back of the onion, right? So, why is it that we think the way that we think? And you will find oftentimes there are beliefs that drive those emotions or drive those thoughts, which then drive the emotions and the reactions. So the question is what are my beliefs that are driving these thoughts, which are driving these emotions and reactions? And that's something that each of us are very different. Each of us have different beliefs. Some of us have the same, some of us have different, but all of us have these unique beliefs that we bring to the table. And again, those beliefs are what drive the way that we think, which then drive the way that we act and the way that we feel. So let me give you an example of this. So let's say I have the belief that people should be grateful. Okay. And I personally believe that is one of my beliefs that I have. And I think it's a really valid belief to have. But what happens when I see somebody not being grateful? It will typically lead me to think really frustrated thoughts about that person. So when you really break it down, I'm getting upset because my belief is then being treaded on, or at least that's how I'm interpreting it. So one of the foundations for being a resilient person and overcoming challenges is to recognize your beliefs and then to not be too rigid within those beliefs. And if we do that, we will find that we will be able to control our thoughts significantly better, ultimately controlling our emotions and our reactions. And so that's what I wanted to share with you in hopes that it gives you a little bit more guidance and a little bit of control within your own mind. So thank you for listening to me.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. I love that. So ETOBF, I think is what I'm getting from
Yeah.
that.
So it's ETO. But under the O, we have the E and R, emotions and reactions. Yeah.
Yep. So I think
Yeah.
definitely it's going to change the way I drive right now. I'll tell you, everyone that knows me and how I drive and my belief system.
Yes,
But
yes.
Right?
But I can validate what you said too, because there's times when I'll be driving and I'll call a really good friend of mine, and you know who you are. Hi, if you're out there. But and I call her my drive buddy, and so on the times when I'm talking to my drive buddy, by the time I realize that I'm home. And I'm pulling into my parking space and I'm like, oh God, I'm home. Okay, I'll call you later. And I didn't even think about other drivers around me, or what was really bothering me. And so my thought and all of that was just on what we were talking about. And we were talking about positive things and, great things. And so I guess I was pushing off positive energy and not attracting the negative, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I
So
love
good.
that. Thank you so much. I love that. I'm so looking forward to every week now, right, Melanie?
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
Yeah.
when I first saw I Bounce Up and you talked about positivity, the first image that came into my head was Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, nice.
And
Yes.
not just the bouncing, but the always positive, like just
Mhm.
bringing in the positive. Woohoo! So that's going to be my image with you.
Love it.
He's my favorite character too. I love that. Okay, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys can get a hold of Andy, and you can an iBounce Up at www.ibounceup.org. Check it out, and also stay tuned each week, because I'm so excited to hear what you're going to talk about next week. So powerful, so thoughtful, and so really beneficial to our caregivers especially. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Aloha.
Thanks, Andy.
Awesome. That was great. I
Yeah.
love that. I just love that. All right. So with that, Lonnie, I think we need to move on, and I'm going to have you talk about our guest.
Yes.
And I know she hasn't logged in yet, so we may have her.
No, she said she was there, so she said she's in the waiting room.
Oh, wait, let me see. Is she? She might be on the wrong place because I don't have her here.
Uh-oh. All right.
Yep. So take a moment to go
All right,
ahead
let me
and text her and let her know that she may be on the wrong link. It's not a Zoom link. It's a different one, and it should be in her email. So good. I know it's a little tough for that. But while Lonnie's doing that, and of course, while Lonnie's doing that, I can always talk about a million things, right? And really, I think that one of the things too I loved, and we've had yoga, and we've had, last season, we had these mindful moments from so many wonderful people. We've had brain yoga and body brain yoga, and I've loved all of those brain exercises. And so I'm really looking forward to this because having motivation and being positive is really what our focus is this year. We're really talking about seeing things differently, bringing back the joy of caregiving, and finding joy in what you do. It's not about allowing it to change our mental state to one that's negative. One of the things that was very powerful that I talked about in our last session that we just completed was that there's 5 negatives. It takes 5 positives to combat 1 negative, right? So if you get 1 negative that comes up, an event that's 1 negative, you're going to need to do 5 positive things or think 5 positive things to combat that 1 negative. So it's the 5-to-1 ratio, right? And so caregivers practice that. If you get a negative that comes up, immediately start thinking about 5 things you're grateful for, 5 positive things, and fight that, because negative is a strong, strong emotion. And it can overpower us. And it takes a lot more positive to combat them. So that's something that I will share.
All right.
How are we going?
She's trying to log back in.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully she'll come on. I think
so
sometimes
while she's
right. Sometimes what happens is when we go live, it's hard for her to log in. So because we're live, it might lock her out. I hope it didn't. But if so, then we'll have to just continue on. There she is. Yay.
All right. Yay.
All right. Good. Woohoo. She's there. All right. Don't worry, Sarah. We'll bring you in when we're ready. So with that, I'm so excited.
Wow.
Lonnie, take over and introduce our special guest.
I am really excited about this next guest. Dr. Sarah Jeffress is an author, editor, writing coach, and CEO of Right Now. And actually, if we could bring her, let me just a little bit more. She has an MA in creative writing and literature from Hollins University, an MFA in poetry from Cornell University, and a PhD in creative writing from SUNY Binghamton. She's a published author, poet. She has a poetry collection, What Enters the Mouth, was published in 2017. And she's a very special person. And so I want to bring her in before we go any further.
Yep.
Hi.
Welcome. It's so good to see you again. I'm so honored to have you here.
Well, it's my pleasure. I see there's light coming in from the window.
That's okay.
The reflection, if you move to your right.
Better?
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. So, Sarah, welcome. I gave a little bit of your background, your bio. But before we get started, before we get to your caregiving story, we have a special recorded message for you.
What?
Aloha, Sarah. This message is for you. And this is 2 authors coming together full circle, whose caregiver stories might not have been told if it weren't for you. I met Miriam on this podcast 3 years ago. And after hearing her caregiver story and reading her book and hearing her story in her voice, I knew that it was time to write my caregiver story. So I'm going to turn it over to Miriam just to say a few words and share how we got here.
How we got here. Good evening or good morning. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter. I am so honored to be here. Thank you, Lani. And Sarah, this message is for you. As Lani said, 3 years ago, she listened to the podcast and she was inspired. She was motivated to write her book. It started with Caregiver 2.0, from burnout to powerhouse. I remember how scared I was to write my story. But you, Sarah, you are the one who motivated, who inspired me, who told me, Miriam, people need to hear your voice. As I'm saying this, I'm getting goosebumps. And I launched my book in 2021, June. Sarah, thank you so much. And Lani, I also have a message for you
Oh gosh.
because I remember our conversation, how you got inspired. And I remember telling you, if you don't share your voice, how can you help others? And with this book, Lani, you are helping so many people. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring, keep motivating, keep changing people's lives with the help of Sarah, of course. And Sarah, my dear, you are one in a million. You are one in a million, and people need you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for guiding us, becoming authors. And it's not just becoming authors, it's that we are helping others, especially caregivers, but also non caregivers. Because Lani, I'm pretty sure you are also getting messages from non caregivers like, hey, I didn't know caregiving was tough. It feels like a second job.
Mm-hmm.
So we are here to celebrate you, Sarah, as a
Yeah.
person, as a writing coach, as a beacon of light for many in the world. So thank you once again for doing what you're doing. And Lani, thank you for having this great idea. I could talk for hours, but I only have 5 minutes with Lani. But this is what I wanted to say. It comes from the heart. And I'm really, really honored that Sarah, you helped us
Yeah.
with these 2 books. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think from the beginning, when Miriam asked me how, I contacted a writing coach and I said, I know I'm supposed to, I know I should, but I don't know who. And she said, let me give you a name. And from the moment that Sarah and I first met, I knew the connection was there. She's just so intuitive. So Sarah, like Miriam said, thank you for your guidance, for caring for us as authors, and for helping us share our message. And yes, it goes beyond caregiving, Miriam, because it was inspiring to me and impactful to me to hear that there were messages and lessons about grief in caregiving and in life that people found in the book and had reached out to me about. So it went even beyond the immediate lessons of caregiving, and it continues to impact people. And that's really what it's all about, is how we impact people. So again, Sarah, thank you for all of your guidance, your intuition, and for caring.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Love you.
All right. Aloha.
Oh
So-
my goodness.
Okay, now I need the tissues. Like,
Right. So it was when I first spoke to Miriam, she said, if you're going to connect with Sarah, you need to have a box of tissues on your desk at all times. So I do, Sarah. Where's yours?
I need to get them.
But I do
so
want to
sweet.
say that, you know, through this journey of connecting with Sarah and knowing who she is beyond being a writer and a coach and an editor, she's also a yoga instructor, and just brings so much, so many gifts to the table that we asked her at the beginning of this year to help us with our strategic planning and really helping our team sort of dig deep inside to what we wanted for this organization. Give me a break. What we wanted to bring to caregivers. And so now, Sarah, we are here to recognize, and also that you recognized and share your caregiving story. So it's all, the platform is all yours.
Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. I have to tell you, I still do this.
And I do this.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is for real. This one, yes.
I mean, you are just an amazing person. And I know that everybody got to have their say. So thank you so much for being on the show and for being a caregiver in so many ways and for what you do. So tell us all about, and you know, a lot of this is not just because you're a writing coach, but just because you see the importance of sharing a story and what that means. I mean, caregivers need to understand this and how important their story is. You know, I talk to so many caregivers. Oh no, I don't want anyone. You need to share your story, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that beautiful message. You totally had me in tears. I didn't even expect it. I was like, oh, Miriam, so lovely. And thank you so much for having me here. You know, I think the thing about a caregiver story is that in our mind's eye, we think a caregiver is someone who is taking care of someone with an illness, or someone who is taking care of an aging parent and a teenager at the same time. And in fact, I think it was when I was doing the workshop with you that I was like, wait a minute, I am a solo mama. Wait, that makes me a caregiver. And I was like surprised by my own realization. And I think that part of the wonderful thing of your organization is you open up the sort of boundaries of who gets defined as a caregiver. I am delighted to raise two powerful children. I didn't intend to do it on my own, and I certainly don't think I do it alone. I definitely feel like I have a team of both living and angelic and ancestral guides who help me. And I live in Ithaca, where there are many friends and support systems around us. My children are 20 and 16. I almost said 15, but newly 16. And, you know, it's complicated right now to raise two children, to be embodied, to be powerful, to trust their own voice, and to trust their gifts. You know, the thing about motherhood that I'm constantly reminded by, and Lainey tells me this too, is that our children are not our own. We're just their guides. And one of my other friends said to me, our children have their own higher power, and we are not it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally, whether we're in their life or not, they know and will remember the things that we, as their mother or their parent, and right now we're celebrating dads, and they have a big part in that. And they'll also always, it's that voice in the back of their head that you put in there that hopefully puts them in a great direction. And I love that you said powerful, because I really believe that that's something that happens with all caregivers, is they become powerless. And giving them power is so important. And I feel like telling your story gives you power. Would you agree?
I would completely agree. And I also feel like many caregivers that I know are exhausted, and they're like, I don't know when I would have possible time to sit down and write something. And, you know, if you're working with me, I often say, like, can you speak it into audio, or can you speak it into your computer, or can you make a voice note, or can you make 5 words on a note page, like just as outline kind of thing? That the actual writing process of telling your story can be both oral or drawing, or, you know, just bullet points as you're getting it out. But what occurs to me is that, and, you know, Lisa Nichols says this too, each one of us has a story, but our story is not for us. I think the saying goes, the tree doesn't water itself, right? Like the story isn't for us, right? The story is for someone else. And when we don't share our story, we are not only holding our story close to our hearts, thinking that it's not that valuable or not that powerful, and B, we are not connecting to people who may need that story.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
pay it
know.
forward kind of thing, right? It's a pay it
Yes,
forward.
yes.
You're definitely putting it out there to give somebody else hope. You know, and I love what you just said, is that I don't have the time, but there are different ways for you to write your story. For you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
most of us have
Yeah.
this vision in our head of a writer that has to go away somewhere in a cabin with a notepad or a typewriter and needs peace and quiet for days and weeks upon end or years to write a book. And yet it's not that. It's and I love that you said that. It could be audioly, it could be visually, it could be in pictures, it could be how you're expressing yourself. And that opens that up for more people. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it could also be 30 minutes with a notebook at a library every Tuesday.
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be that you run away for, pulling yourself out of the world, but it also doesn't have to be that you aren't establishing some kind of peace and quiet. So one of the things I do with caregivers is help them find the writing practice that's important for them. The other thing I was thinking is that caregivers have so many details and so many responsibilities that the writing story process can actually, I think, help them not just sort the responsibilities, what's theirs to own and what's not theirs, but also help them imagine a life they want. Because I know many caregivers end up that way, right? It's not necessarily like I didn't choose to bury a spouse. I didn't choose to have children on my own. After that, like that's how it happened.
Yeah. I didn't choose for my mother to go into hospice 5 times.
Right.
I didn't choose to be here. I didn't choose this as my future. Planning
Right.
for your retirement didn't include caregiving,
Oh,
right?
no.
And there you were. And there
there
you
you
are.
were.
There we are.
And then the other thing I've been thinking a lot about is that writing your story for the caregiver is one of the many beautiful ways that caregivers can begin to tend to their own hearts while they're simultaneously tending to everyone else's needs.
And that's how my story came about, was that I had to find that self-care in my journey. Yeah. And that's what became my story. But that took 20 years of collecting, journal notes before that story came together. So it doesn't need to happen overnight. It can be a lifetime. And that's what I love about journaling, is that, and the way that I teach journaling workshops is that it doesn't have to be written. It can be visual. Like start with what brings you joy. Yeah. Those moments that in between the caregiving where you find joy, and help that lead you towards telling the rest of the story, and also to be vulnerable. Brene Brown, that's one of the things she says in telling your story, you have to be vulnerable, because people can tell when you're not being authentic.
Yeah. And I think it allows you to heal, and it allows you to not just heal yourself, but then to send that healing energy out to others. And that vulnerability, allowing yourself to heal, is no longer protecting all of that you kept pushed down for so long, right? Yeah. So, and caregivers do that, right? We suck it up. We call it sucking it up, right? You just suck it up, you move on, you keep going. And one day you wonder why you're exhausted and why you're depressed and why, you're having illnesses. And so including in your routine of all of that you're doing to tear down your body is something positive. It's this positive spark of being able to, write something and share that writing and then heal.
And sometimes caregivers, I think, I know they benefit from your journaling workshop, right? Like they don't always want to write a book. They might just want to write an essay or a poem or a story, or just an entry of like, today was really hard. Here are the things I had to do.
Yeah.
Or here are the things I chose to do, and here are the things I had to do in order to get to what I wanted to choose to do, right? The other thing I was going to say is that we all carry these stories with us, and unless we write them down, not only are they lost when we, however you want to say it,
transition,
change to form, transition, become angels, become in the sky, like whatever the word is.
Go to our next journey.
The story is lost unless there's a document of it, right? Which I think is incredibly important. And also, when we are working on our stories, we can begin to heal our own selves. And if we're not working on them, then we carry that illness of confusion, or that illness of depression, or that illness of anger with us year after year, which isn't a healthy choice either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just contributes to that statistic, right?
Mhm.
50% of caregivers are passing from before the ones they care for, and it's caregiver burnout.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that earlier. Is in our session last night, we did a quick quiz to see if you had caregiver burnout, and nobody did not. Everyone fell in the spectrum, some more than others, but we were all suffering from caregiver burnout. And you either know it or you don't, but the stark realization of where you are in that and how far into caregiver burnout you are never hits a caregiver. And so that's kind of part of analyzing and looking at your situation and telling that story. And sometimes you have to tell the story to yourself first, right?
Mhm.
So there you go. Yeah. But what a beautiful thing you do. And
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And
I
she's so good at helping writers get beyond that surface of the story, to really tap into the story behind the story, the generational stories that made you who you are. So Sarah, again, thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet. It's been my honor. I really believe that we have stories that we're afraid to tell or that we're nervous to tell, and those are exactly the ones that we need to write down.
need to write. Yes.
And that also some caregivers perhaps maybe feel blocks with writing. And so I do use a lot of yoga or movement or this, just this of like shaking out the energy, this of like protecting the energy, like that hand mudra. There are hand mudras or forward folds or shoulder rolls, because the story is a group of memories that lives in our body. And then if we're feeling blocked, we need to move the body to get to the story. So I really love thinking about movement as a way to work through blocks and movement as a way to work through fear.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you use that too. That really helped all of us when we did our strategy planning, and having you do that really opened us all up. And I really believe that because of it, we had one of our best planning sessions. And this year's been phenomenal for us. And I attribute I attribute that to what you helped us to do as well. So thank you for that. And
of course,
gosh,
of course.
thank you so much for sharing today. So caregivers, go ahead, Lonnie.
I just wanted to say one more thing, that she does that, sort of combines her writing coaching with her yoga through a program called Mat to Pen. So if someone is interested, to reach out to Sarah to find out how to get in on that. It really helps with that movement. If you feel like you have a story you want to write, maybe this is the way to start moving in that
Here's how to
direction.
get it out. Right.
Yes.
So you can contact Dr. Sarah Jeffries at sarah@sarahjeffries.com, and it's JEFFERIS.
Yes, that's
that
lovely.
ending. It's RIS.
Thank you.
Right.
With Mat to Pen, I just wanted to say you don't have to ever have done yoga before. It is really like gentle, easy, not stand on your head yoga. It's really
You don't have to get into crouching lion, hidden dragon. It's fine.
No,
You're
very
okay.
chill yoga. That,
I remember,
moves
and I
posture.
have to tell you, I remember when Lonnie said, and we were going to do some yoga, and you came out and said, we're going to do some yoga, and Christy and I looked at each other like, that ain't happening. And we were so glad that you did do it, because it really did. It opened up our understanding. It was very easy to do, and it was so, you could immediately feel the result. It was wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. So thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
anytime. Anytime. It's my
Awesome. Well,
pleasure.
thank you for coming on
Thank
today
you.
and for sharing
course.
that. And listen, caregivers, get a coach. And here you are, and you can talk to Sarah anytime. Just go ahead and get on Sarah at sarahjeffries.com.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sarah. Aloha.
Aloha. Bye.
There we go. Oh my God, that was so awesome. See,
Yeah.
it shows how one little positive spark can connect to another and connect to another. And there you go. It's healing. Voila, community, you guys. You got you. And by the way, we didn't mention this, but Miriam is located where on this earth?
She's in the Netherlands.
So we just connected Hawaii to the Netherlands, and Sarah is, I believe, on the East Coast as well.
She's in New York.
So, and everything in between.
We covered
today.
half the globe.
Half the globe today. So there you go. And it's just that fast that we can be community and connect to one another in so many ways. So
Yeah.
my heart to you, mahalo, Sarah, for sharing with us today. And speaking of sparks and connecting to community, one of our guests coming on later this month, towards the end of this month, Dr. Jonathan Nall's book is going to release tomorrow, and it's called Final Approach, a Test Pilot's Story of Caring for Loved Ones. It's a really great book, and another writer, and he'll be coming on to talk about it. He was a fighter pilot, so he'll be coming on to talk about that at the end of this month in June, and I'm really excited about it. But look for his book, The Final Approach, a Test Pilot Story of Caring for Loved Ones, that releases tomorrow. Speaking of books, I mean, don't you have one coming out too? Aren't you going into your second book?
Second book will be released in 2026, but we've had many authors on this show since Miriam. And, you know, we highlight their books in our Givers Guides magazine. And I think it just continues to show the importance of telling your story. And that's why every year, for the last 4 years, I think we've done a Telling Your Story workshop, which I, shared a little bit earlier, was helping people to see how to start doing that as a caregiver, and that it is important that other people are waiting to hear your story. Other people need to hear your story so that they can survive their caregiving journey. And sometimes you never know the impact that your story is going to have on someone. For example, Miriam's story impact on me, and the ripple effect from there. So look for our Telling Your Story workshop coming up later this year.
Yeah, later, usually in the fall. So, and maybe we need to have Sarah be part of that this year. That would be exciting, right? To do a segment. So a lot coming up, and it's really an honor for the Caring Caregiver Show in that way to continue to share caregiver stories and connect community. That's really what we do. And because of it, I also, speaking of community, I want to thank Zippies. For those of you that don't know, we were part of their May Kokua program, and we were one of the charities that when you purchased a Kokua pack, that portion of the proceeds would come to Give Me a Break, and we're excited to find out what that's going to be. But I just wanted to send out a big shout to Zippies for considering and for including us in the program. Thank you, mahalo, so much from the heart. And to everyone in our community who purchased a Kokua pack. I know a lot of you did. I know Lonnie and I did. We purchased. I'm not going to eat a Kokua pack for a little while, but we ate a lot of them. And I know that a lot of friends and families, and especially shout out to all of you at Costco who did support us. Thank you so much. Yeah, all of the employees there were very supportive to us in the Hawaii Kai Costco. So thank you. And it told me, here's my Kokua pack. I got my Kokua pack. Thank you so much. It was really awesome. And to everyone else who got out there and did that, I know there were so many of you who did and let me know that. And my heart to you. Thank you. Even to the community of caregivers in Las Vegas when the new Zippies opened up there, supported us with Kokua packs. So hopefully this is going to be a really wonderful opportunity for Give Me a Break to get a great donation. But I'll tell you, my heart is already happy just to connect the community that we connected in this program. So it's great. We truly are honored to be part.
Yeah.
Whew, yeah.
Well, and I think it just, we talked earlier today about the fact that we love the support from the community, the financial support, the fundraising support. It helps us to continue to do what we do. And so we have within our own Give Me a Break several different ways that people can continue to support us outside of those, community events by, making a monthly donation or subscribing to the Givers Guides magazine. So anything that you can do to help promote and support the work of Give Me a Break is always so very much appreciated.
Yeah, I want to add to that. We don't have big grants or funding We do all of this on a wing and a prayer, literally by the kind hearts and donations and that you provide. So to all of our monthly donors as well, thank you so much. These are just caregivers who, or people, acquaintances that we both know that contribute a certain amount every month, and so thank you for that, because we're able to continue doing what we do and trying to make a difference to caregivers everywhere. We were just talking about this, you and I, we're just, you were sharing with me, and I had noticed it myself. Bradley Cooper now is coming off of a caregiving experience, and he's got this great show that he's putting out there, and I encourage everyone to watch it. But boy, if we had the funds, what we could do. We've been for the last 5 years just plugging along here, helping caregivers in any way we can. And I would love to continue doing that on a grander scale. Not because we get paid, none of us do. We're all volunteers, but because I'd really like to see caregivers get the support that they need.
Yeah.
And that's what this is really all about. So, maybe if anyone else has a connection to Bradley Cooper, please let him know that Give Me a Break is here, and we are here. We are here. We are here. So there you go. And you can help us to get the word out to caregivers that there is someone who cares. There is a program that supports what they do. Yeah. And of course, if you can make a donation to help that, by all means, make that donation, get a subscription, go onto our website, gab808.org, and we're happy to do that. All right. So yeah, where are we? Boy, that's pretty much a wrap, isn't it? That wraps our
I'm gonna wrap it up.
Episode of season 15. Wow, with so much more to come. We have Isabel Melgarejo, founder of Tumcor, and it's an empowering. She has a company that empowers family caregivers. And I'm really excited to that. And of course, more motivation from Andy. And remember that this show is brought to you, of course, by Give Me a Break and Givers Guides magazine. Oh, and boy, keep it all coming. We just want to keep it all coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, this show and the community, it's about bringing caregivers, connecting caregivers to resources, to a community with wellness and surviving and thriving is our goal. Season 15 is just going to be filled with more amazing resources that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, exactly. So and I love that you said that. Yep. I love that you said that. It's not just surviving. I talk about surviving all the time, but thriving beyond that. And I love that you brought that up. Totally agreed. Yeah. Put it in your calendar, you guys, every Wednesday at noon, the Caring Caregiver Show. And if you missed an episode, just go right on to caringcaregivershow.com, or a week after each show, you can hear it on podcast on any platform, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google, we're all there. Check it all out. And by all means, if you missed it, you go onto our social media platforms, Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube, where you can view the live show that's taping right now, immediately. Yeah. Right now it's there. Okay. But in the meantime, remember to breathe.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's hoping that you're finding more joy in caregiving every week here on the Caring Caregiver Show. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Lonnie, for being here. Mm-hmm. It's always a pleasure to have you with me. But always be kind to yourself, and especially to those who are caring. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Have a wonderful week. See you next week.